All right, we got Coach Dawkins here, and we will just start it with questions from all you.
Coach, so, the expectations are now there with you being picked first. How do you approach that versus maybe years prior?
We always give ourselves the highest of standards anyway. So for us, being picked in this position, I think it's an honor because, it's picked by, the coaches and what their thoughts are with regards to where teams will finish. But, my players and I understand, having been through this a number of times, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. And we have a lot of work to do. We're excited about the season, of course, and we just look at it as an honor that people thought that highly of us. But you could have chosen, 7, 8 schools in our conference. It's that competitive.
Talk to BJ about just being proud of him and just getting the recognition of being preseason player of the year. Your thoughts on that? I'm excited for BJ. I think it's another honor, well deserved, but it'd be better if it's at the end of the season because that means we've accomplished. So I look at it as a situation where we have a lot of work to do. I think BJ has a lot of respect in our conference because of what he's achieved over the years. But this early in the season, we're all starting off at 0-0, and it's all about what we can accomplish from here and that, what people are predicting. So I'm excited about his opportunity that he has in front of him.
What makes BJ so hard to guard?
What makes BJ so hard to guard is, one, he's such a fierce competitor, and he's such a physical guard. I think that's a rare combination of that type of competitiveness combined with a certain level of physical play that he possesses at the guard spot. Because as you know, he's only 6 feet, but he plays like he's 6'10", with how physical he can be. And so I think those are the things that he has, and also his determination. I mean, he's a young man that really imposes his will on the game. It's something he's done ever since I've been here.
Johnny, what does it mean that you're talking about going back with BJ still, what he's gone through, in his career, some of the injuries and things, some of the missed time last season, then to come back this year and then have that kind of honor, preseason honor, what he's been able to do?
Well, I'm proud of what he's done. He's battled injuries almost every year since he's been here, and he's never quit. He's always gotten better, and that says a lot about him. Most young people that have had as many injuries as he had, in multiple years, we kind of have a let up. He hadn't really had that let up. He's maintained a certain level of focus and commitment to getting better, and I think the results speak for themselves. He's improved every season because he's been able to fight through those injuries and continue to work to get better.
How excited are you to finally have the full complement of players together, something that you really haven't had for over a year?
I'm excited. Knock on wood, I'm glad we're on the court right now because I want to knock on wood to make sure that we continue to stay that way. Right now we're relatively healthy, and that's a good thing. It's kind of exciting because when you're preparing for a season, there's a lot more that goes into it, beyond your health. That's all the chemistry and continuity that goes along with being a good team. And the more you can have your core group of players out there together, working together, the better chance you have to improve. And so having those guys out there practicing with each other every day has been a good thing for us. And last year we had that early, and then we had to make some huge adjustments because guys went down one at a time and just really disrupted that. Well, this season, so far, our guys have been able to be out there and work together, which I think is hugely important.
You've always had a good defensive team, but with Aubrey and Colin Smith now maybe adding offensive, do you feel like this is the most well-rounded team you've had?
I think it can be. I think we still need to show it when we step out there on the floor, but if practice is any indication, we do have a more well-rounded offensive unit. I think our guys have really improved. I think, our younger players were able to get, substantial minutes last season, due to a lot of the injuries that we had, which I think gave them invaluable experience. They were able to really grow in their roles because of that. So you add those experiences with, some returning players that also have some experience, I think it gives you a chance to have a team that has more depth and a team that offensively is more well-rounded.
What are you hoping to see from a guy like Cesar DeJesus coming in and playing in his second year this year?
I'm excited for Cesar. This is his second season, as you just mentioned, and I expect to see Cesar be a more experienced player for us. His freshman year, things were moving really fast. I thought by the time the season ended, he was starting to, get comfortable with who he was and what he could do to be successful. I expect him to carry those experiences into this next season and give us a huge lift with his overall knowledge. He's one of the few players that competed against everybody in our league. He played all 32 games, started the majority of them. So we need him to come in and be a more mature player and play with a more seasoned type of veteran type of mindset.
Have you seen
seen a change in approach to this team maybe now from going from the hunter to the, to the hunted kind of?
I think our guys are still adjusting to that. That's a great question. When you are the hunted, where people are predicting you to be at a certain position, it's going to be a different mindset from everybody that you compete against, as opposed to when you're going out there and you're the one chasing the people that are supposed to be ahead of you. I think our guys need to understand how to prepare for that, and they're adjusting to that now. That's not something that comes natural to most athletes. There's an adjustment there, and our players, I can tell every practice, starting to figure that out a little bit more. With the depth that we have in practice, our competition is very good, and competition helps everyone get better. So, the ability to compete on a daily basis with somebody who is of equal talent provides an opportunity for you to grow. So when you're prepared, when you play other teams that are really, excited about competing against you.
I had a chance to speak to one of your former teammates from college, Chip England, the other day. He had talked about you as a college player and just what you brought to the table. Do these guys over here have any clue just how good you were when you played?
All they know about me is I had short shorts. They don't know too much about how I competed or how I played, but Chip was a great player in his own right, and I was fortunate to play with him. I'm really happy how his career has gone, with the Spurs, and he's pretty much thought of as the best, best shooting coach in the NBA, one of the best individual skill instructors in the NBA, and I could see that back then. He had a really good knowledge of the game, outstanding teacher, and I think he landed in a great spot with a great organization.
What can you take from your past and where you've been that you can maybe the message you give these players, speaking about being hunted rather than being the hunters? What can you kind of tell them, your message maybe going into the season?
Well, I've been in that position a number of times as a player and as an assistant coach, of course. And my advice to them is it's all about their preparation. They have to come with a certain focus and a certain commitment every day in order to meet that type of challenge. You're going to take everyone's best shot, but guess what? You should want everyone's best shot. How do you get better if you're playing teams that are giving less than their best? So I want my guys to be excited about that, not looking at that as a burden. And that's the kind of conversations we have in preparation for the upcoming season.
How much of a weapon, because of Colin's size and his inside-outside ability, how much of a weapon can he be for you up there?
Well, Colin's a terrific talent. I'm really excited about who I think he can become. I think his ability to go inside with his size and length and his ability to finish around the basket. You combine that with his ball-friendly skills and his ability to knock down perimeter shots, makes him a unique player. And I think he'll be a great addition to what we're doing as he continues to grow into his role. I think we get better because not only can he affect the game, offensively, but he also can affect it defensively. I mean, he moves his feet as well as anybody at that size. You wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know that he was 6'11" out there on the floor. If you watch him, you think he was 6'7", and that's a real compliment to him and his work ethic because he's made himself into a very versatile player.
It's been a couple years in the making to get Aubrey on the floor for you guys. What is the dynamic between you two when he steps between the lines and the ball's tipped off?
Well, it's love-hate between he and I. I've worked with him, throughout his whole career. I never coached him, of course, but I worked with him every day after practice, after my job was over. I'd always grab him and go into the gym. So we have a good relationship. He understands, what my expectations are for our team and what my expectations are for him as far as where he needs to grow. He's open to being coached. He's always been that way. And he's a team player, and he's somebody that he's all about the team. You never have to worry about what he's thinking. It's easy. He's about winning and he's about the team. And so those are really good characteristics. I think they're really good for our team because adding another player like that who understands the importance of us doing things together, I think is important.
As he was working his way back, what was your message to him as a coach, and then what was your message to him as a father?
As a coach, my message was the same as his father in that situation. I knew he was devastated. I mean, you're talking about you having to sit out a year because it's mandatory that you have to sit out, which is a interesting rule in itself. Then you combine that with now you get injured the next year, so now you have to sit out 2 seasons in a row. That's difficult for any young person to have to swallow, and it was difficult for him. And I just talked to him about life. In general, is you never know what life's going to throw you. And you just need to be prepared. You're going to face adversity. We all do in life and in our sport. And it's how you handle that determines who you are and what type of man you are. And so, he understood things happen. and you have to move forward. And so I think he's really adjusted well. He's still, getting some of the rust off, because when you sit that long and don't play, there's going to be some rust that you have to work yourself through. But he's in the process of doing that, and I think he's getting better every time he goes to practice. Every time we play, I can see improvements in him, and that's a message I gave him as a coach, and I would give it to any of our players, and the same message I gave to him as my son.
When you look back at the injuries the past couple of seasons, did you reevaluate strength and conditioning in your approach?
Of course, whenever we have injuries like that and we sustain those type things, we're going to look at ourselves from top to bottom. What are we doing as a staff? What are we doing strength and conditioning wise? And of course, we meet on those things, and we want to make sure that we're doing the right things by student athletes. And so in meeting with our guys and talking to our strength and conditioning coaches and everyone involved, we came to the conclusion that, you look at some of the ways those injuries occurred, nothing you can do. My son dies for a loose ball. He tears his shoulder. Taco had, hurt his shoulder in the off season, and it's just something that kept manifesting itself, getting worse and worse as the season progressed, to a point where he just felt so uncomfortable he couldn't play. So those are the two injuries. And BJ, in his first game, he breaks his foot, and if you saw, how he landed and the way he stepped on someone's foot during that play, and the way he was so awkward, and those things are just going to happen in our sport. You just don't oftentimes see them happening, during the same season, and so it was just devastating. But I think ultimately, we're better from the experience. We didn't make the jump we wanted to make last year. That's the disappointing part. But it wouldn't have given some of our younger players maybe an opportunity to grow. And I think that's going to help us in our future. I think guys like Terrell, because he had a great opportunity to grow and get better. And you'll see a better player, because of the experience he had last year and then his offseason this year. I think Caesar, who was able to get substantial minutes, also had a chance to really grow in his role. I think Dayon, another player, I think, was able to grow because of what he faced last year, kind of being put out there and, hey, we need you to step up in certain roles. All those players are better because they were able to be given, opportunities. Not saying they wouldn't have had opportunities the year before, because they would have, but maybe their role wouldn't have been as substantial as the roles were, that year.
What have you seen early on from Dre Fuller when you were a freshman?
I'm excited about Dre. He's a terrific talent. He has a bright future in our program. I can see him being, in our program, being an all-league player as the years continue to go on for him with what I've seen in practice. The young man has a good deal of versatility. He has a good understanding of the game. He's easy to play with when he's on the floor, meaning that he makes a lot of real good decisions with the basketball. And those are things that you can really work toward. You can work off and get better from those experiences. So I'm excited about him as a freshman. I think he has a huge upside in our program.
A few more from Coach.
Obviously, you're expected to make the tournament, but have you thought about, if everything goes right for this team and in a perfect scenario, how deep this team can go, how far this team can go this season?
I haven't really thought about that. I hear expectations and predictions, and I leave those things to you guys and the coaches that vote. For us, all we want to do is get better every day and get closer every day. That's our goal. We feel if we do that, we can compete with anybody, in the country. If we don't do those things and we don't sacrifice for each other, then we won't achieve what we think we can achieve. So, we have the highest of standards. You guys all understand what high standards mean. We have the highest of standards for our team and our organization, and we want to live up to that, whether it's this year or whether it was last year or the year before. And if we approach it that way and focus on what we're doing, and I think the rest of it takes care of itself.
How challenging do you think this conference is going to be this year?
The conference is going to be, it's going to be really challenging. I look at the teams, and people are, predicting us in a certain position. But I look at all these teams. Memphis has everybody. They bring everybody back, and they've added like 3 or 4 top 100 players. I think that's a very talented team. I look at Cincinnati. Cincinnati is bringing back their perimeter players, which, you're bringing back a really good perimeter, team, and you have a chance to be very good. They've already gone overseas. They already used their foreign tour this summer, so they had 10 more practices, already played actual games with that group. So they're really experienced, already have games under their belt, so they're going to have a great season. Houston brings everybody, a number of their players back, and also bringing in some very talented players that were sitting out this past year. And I can go on and on and on with each one of our teams. South Florida bringing back a lot of guys that were sitting out are hugely talented as well. And, Tulane, the same thing. Connecticut, some of the best guards in the nation on their team are healthy now. And so they're going to be very, very good. So, I look at our team. You potentially in the American could have 6 or 7 teams that conceivably that would be postseason teams, NCAA caliber teams. And that's just, just the teams I can think off the top of my head right now. I'm missing a lot of teams, but just a few that I know from studying, their rosters and who they have are going to be very good programs.
Coach, is there a sense of urgency? I know you touched on it before, but is there a sense of urgency being at BJ Taylor's last year and several other players? I mean, being this the best year you've seen here?
We're always excited about leaving our legacy here at UCF. And like Matt Williams and those players did, 2 years ago, these guys have an opportunity to do that now. And, how do you want to be remembered? How do you want to leave your legacy? And that's all we're about here at UCF. It's leaving your legacy. You want to leave it, the year better than the previous year, better than the previous teams. And the only way you can do that, even though it's their last year, is understanding that those guys can't do it by themselves. It's going to require our team to play at a high level for us to be successful. And so not only do they need to bring a certain, focus and commitment, they need to make sure that their teammates bring that same level of focus and commitment. And it needs to be like they're playing their last year as well. Andreas Fuller, it needs to be him playing like it's his last year, not like it's his first year. Or Colin Smith needs to be playing like it's his last year, not his first year. It's going to be more than just Taco, BJ, Chad, Dayon, our upperclassmen. It's going to be all those guys playing with that same sense of urgency if we expect to do something special.
Last one for Coach.
How privileged do you feel just to be coaching this team with the talent it's got? Do you feel like you've landed in a good position with this team?
I fell in love with UCF the minute I came on this campus. I love it here. There's no place I'd rather be coaching than UCF, and no group of players I'd rather be coaching than the young men I have in that locker room. So I do feel privileged, and along with that, because it's a privilege, I feel it's a responsibility for our community that we go out there and approach every game the right way. And when they see a UCF team step on that floor, I want them to see a team that's playing hard. I want to see a team that's a blue-collar, hard-working program, and that's exhibited by the effort and energy that we exhibit every time we step on the court. If we go out there and play with that type of effort and energy, I think that we can be competitive no matter who we play.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
You guys are welcome. All right, have a good day.